Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Hey, we're one day away from kickoff, guys. I never thought the day would get here, but it is here. So tell us where you're checking in from. Tell us who your favorite number one is. Get your questions in. And I just want to jump over to the news of the day. It isn't one day away. It's that there is a big recruiting announcement. Hopefully, it goes in the favor of the Longhorns here just shortly, guys. But Jerry, tell folks about it.
Yeah, Jaime Ffrench, 5-star, what 4-star plus, whatever you want to call him, wherever you look around rankings. Jacksonville Mandarin, wide receiver. Not only a tremendous wide receiver, but an unbelievable personality. The guy's built for NIL and TV one day after his NFL career is over. Jaime Ffrench will announce here in about 10 minutes or so. He is announcing on his mom's birthday. He wins Son of the Year. Everybody else can pack it up for the 2024 and give another run in 2025. That race is over when you announce your commitment on your mom's birthday. Bright and early on that's 8:30 East Coast time there. But the big day, Jamie's waited to announce his decision for his mom's birthday. Texas, Miami, Tennessee, LSU. Those are the four. Miami's made a big run there. Texas has been trending for a while. We'll see what he weighed. We'll see if he changed when he woke up this morning. We'll see in about 10 minutes here. But Chris Jackson, Steve Sarkisian have done a really good job in this recruitment, have done all they can. It's a big recruitment for me, guys, when I look at the state of Florida for future recruiting. Texas has done very well in Orlando area. They got into IMG with – yeah.
Timeout post of the day already has happened. Casey, good morning, Mamarn on Texas for football.
Good job. Good win, Casey.
Good job, Casey for the Jaime Ffrench win right there. Good job, buddy.
By the way, Reggie Matthews, the show is running for 2 hours today. We're going 2 hours today. We got a lot to get to. We got a beat writer from Colorado State. We have Brian Robison coming on the show at 8:45 this morning to talk about Colorado State, the opener, and all that good stuff. But Jaime Ffrench, Texas they've had success under Tashard Choice in Orlando, in the I-4 corridor in the southwest part of Florida. Obviously, Dayton Broward's a different animal in recruiting. Texas has got Diabell, though, out of Broward County, but quarterback's different. That's a little different area for Texas right now. But Jacksonville's an area that I think Texas can have success in the future. And so this Jaime Ffrench announcement coming up here in about 10 minutes is a big one for me, guys, because you got Cedric Baxter out of the Orlando area, got Jared and Peyton Kirkland, since transferred, but was big in recruiting in Florida. He had a big voice. And then in IMG, Jarrett Gibson, who's originally from Gainesville, and Jordan Johnson-Rebellis, even though he's from Texas. Those were the two leaders of the IMG program last year. Then you got Michael Kern, the punter out of St. Thomas Aquinas, obviously another Broward guy, but, specialist at quarterback's a little different game. But the Jacksonville area is an area in South Georgia where I think Texas can have a lot of success in the future. So this is a big announcement coming up for Texas. They put in a lot of work on Jaime Ffrench. I think he's an unbelievable fit with Steve Sarkisian's culture if it goes Texas way. And again, he's been trending Texas. We always got to wait for these announcements. I mean, you got to see what they announce. You never know what decision will be in the morning of the announcement. But Blake, we also have first day of opening night of high school football in Texas last night.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Williams had a game for the ages. Caleb Chester, I believe Marshall came back. When Elijah Barnes, Dallas Skyline, everybody listed that game as Friday, including myself. They actually played last night. Elijah Barnes had 3 sacks in the win over North Forney, 21-7 Dallas Skyline win over North Forney. So, Blake, I know we have a little Jonah Williams here to pop up.
Yeah.
While Bobby lost his connection. Bobby went for more coffee.
Give me just a second here, Jerry. All right. Here we go.
Jonah returned the opening kickoff of the season for a touchdown for Galveston Ball. He had 2 touchdowns receiving, I think a couple of touchdowns rushing, blocked an extra point. So he scored 5 touchdowns in the opener. There you see that 1 touchdown in the opener. So not a bad opening night performance, and that's against Manville. Manville, they may not be quite as talented as they used to be, but that's still a talented team. Galveston Ball, that's a huge win for the program at Galveston Ball. The one thing people have been saying about Ball High is, they don't play great competition. Well, Ball just put up a 50 spot here in this, I believe, close to a 50 spot there in the season opener. So huge win for Galveston Ball in the season opener.
50,
and by the way,
hey, Jerry, they put up 50. 35 of it was Jonah Williams.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns, baby.
Hey, by the way,
why recruiting matters? That's why recruiting matters.
By the way, chat, let's all wish Bobby Burton a happy birthday.
That's right.
The double nickel.
He made it the double nickel.
Yeah. And then my camera went out on me, so I get to go to Best Buy today. that's gonna be fun.
Hey, Honey Badger with the super chat says, "Happy birthday, Bobby Burton. I'm 5 days your senior, and I can't believe I didn't run into you while we were both on the 40 acres. Thank you for all you do. I hope French is an early morning birthday gift."
I think that's a good plan. Although he's giving his mom a birthday gift apparently today, right, Jerry? That's the idea. It's his mom's birthday. And therefore, that's why he's making the decision today. Look, Jonah Williams last night is why recruiting matters and why staying on elite players matter. And I don't know how to say this other than those are the guys that are going to make plays in big games. And that tilts the season at times in college football. And I particularly think that's going to be the case. Whereas the Big 12, I think you could overwhelm people with talent individually, or collectively a little bit. You can still do that in the SEC. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a little bit different because the talent bar is raised there. So what you need more in the SEC are difference makers. And those are the guys that make the big plays at the big times because you're already playing against a lot of guys that are going to be in the NFL. And so as we prepare, not just this year for the SEC, but long term, those guys are the ones that will tip the scales, hopefully. And last night, 5 touchdowns. That's just a ridiculous stat line. I don't know how else to say it. A kick return, 2 TDs receiving, 2 TDs rushing. Now every other Texas commit's going to try to outdo that, which is fine by me. But that's going to be a tough first game to beat, right?
Yeah. Hey, this is a on Texas football first, so I've got to bring this up. Reggie Matthews, hold on. Your Friendswood squad put up a good fight last night. Fort Bend Marshall came back and beat Friendswood. Then Zach, thank you for that, Reggie. Then Zach Mercado. Happy birthday, Bobby. Hook 'em from Friendswood. Back-to-back Friendswood mentions on Texas football, man. It's here. We've officially arrived.
Yeah, Jerry, your dad was hilarious last night. He was we did a show last night, Blake, from down at Little Woodrow's down in the Houston area as part of our deal with Yingling Flight, the light beer. And we were talking to Jerry's dad. Jerry's dad literally busts on Jerry like Jerry busts on other people. You know exactly where Jerry's sense of humor comes from after you talk about 5 minutes to Jerry's dad. It was awesome.
Oh, man. Good stuff. Good stuff for sure. So, Jerry, real quick we've had a few people just join us now. When is the announcement? Tell people, give everybody a little detail because we've had quite a few join since we first started.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, we're like over 1,000 people here at 7:26 Central Time. His announcement should be coming up in the next 5 minutes or so. Actually, it looks like it's been bumped back 8 minutes. Of course, it's an announcement, so 8:35 Central East Coast time, 7:35 our time is when Jaime Ffrench is scheduled to announce his decision. Again, Texas, Miami, Tennessee, LSU. Interesting recruitment. At the beginning of Jaime Ffrench's recruitment, or for a long time, everybody thought it was Ohio State. There were the picks in for Ohio State. call them the marketing picks. The picks were in for Ohio State. And then once he made that, and then once Ohio State maybe fell off a little bit within the circle, right? Maybe that wasn't going to be the pick. He was a one-time Alabama commitment, by the way, to Nick Saban at Bama. Then when Nick retired, obviously opened up his recruitment once again. So he's already picked an out-of-state school once. But then after the Ohio State kind of the love fell off there, it looked like it was going to be Tennessee, Miami, LSU, a lot of family in Baton Rouge, maybe Florida State were the schools mentioned. Then he comes to Texas in the spring for an unofficial visit. Has a great visit. Coming out of that, Texas top 2, right? Texas, Tennessee were the 2. And I thought for a long time Tennessee might be the school along with Texas where that decision would ultimately come from. And then you fast forward, he goes through the visit process in June, visits all 4 schools. But then in late July, he was going to visit Georgia officially, backed out on that, took an unofficial to LSU and Miami that last weekend in July. And the chat was on fire the next Monday about that, by the way. And it became clear after those visits that Texas or Miami was really, and I've been told by multiple people, Miami, as the in-state school should, somebody needed to step up and make the run. And it's been Miami. So I've been continuously told Texas or Miami. Texas has been trending. They probably have the best relationship with Jaime and his family. I think Steve Sarkisian and Chris Jackson have both done a really good job there in this recruitment. But Miami is the competition, I believe. I think he's been to Tennessee as much as any other school as well. Tennessee's made big run at it. LSU, obviously, there's a lot of family connections there. I've never really thought that's where he'd end up, though. So we're coming down to this decision here in about 6-7 minutes now. And some of these people are asking about Jonah Williams compared to Travis Hunter. I will say I think Jonah Williams will play safety in college. I don't think he's going to be a two-way player for Steve Sarkisian at Texas, Bobby. I think he'll be a safety. I think that's what he wants to be. Now, I'll say this. If Texas came to him and said, hey, man, maybe let's not do safety. What do you want to do? He'd say wide receiver. I guarantee you he would not, Jonah Williams, not say linebacker. It's safety. It's wide receiver for him. But Travis Hunter, let's see what Travis Hunter, how healthy he is at the end of the year. We got a lot of time to talk about that, but playing as many snaps as he's playing both sides of the ball, I don't think Texas will play Jonah Williams both ways, Bobby.
No, look, you got to figure out. I think it's too early to decide it unequivocally, right, Jerry? But you don't go in with the idea that anybody's ever going to play two ways.
No.
That's just one of those things that's really, really ever difficult to accomplish at a high level. And even when they do it, they spot you typically at another position. They don't really play you, 50 plays on one side of the ball and 50 or 60 plays on the other, just because it's so taxing. And you want to keep guys fresh and not get them hurt. Hey, before we get to Jamie's announcement, we need to say thank you to BKCW. Today's show brought to you by our friends over at BKCW Business Insurance. They try to get you out of the insurance trap when the agent is providing no value and just price quoting and not helping you prepare for the next calendar year for you and your business. That's called the insurance trap. BKCW takes your business out of the insurance trap by providing actual risk management, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin, owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage company's risk and employee benefits. BKCW has a specific risk consultants that specialize in many different industries. Get started with a free risk assessment for your business at bkcw.com or send them an email, info@bkcw.com, to get started and get the support you deserve.
All right, guys. I want to knock out some of these super chats real quick while we wait. Shouldn't take long here, and I'm going to do these back to back to back. Brandon Huey, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Happy birthday, Bobby. Enjoy it." Jack, thank you for the super chat as well. Happy birthday, Bobby. Mr. French is giving you a birthday present in a few minutes. And then this one from AJJ. Once again, thank you. Happy International Bobby Burton Day. Thank you for everything you do for us. And one other one here, Texas Boy 7979 with the super chat. Good morning from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Hopefully we can pick up another important recruit. Happy birthday, Bobby. And then one final one from Christian Kruger. Happy birthday, Bobby Burton. Let's go, French. Horns go 11-1. Just manscape it, Jerry. Blake, hook 'em, and go Astros.
Hey!
Woo! I like that one.
By the way,
hey, guys,
we're just a couple of minutes away here from Jaime Ffrench's announcement. It should be starting around 7:35.
You know, this has been my entire life. My birthday has been around the first Texas Longhorn football game. You know what I mean? Like, this is not new to me. So I am always in between, like any kind of party I'm gonna have or friends over. I got to manage it with the Texas football game, right? And so they know. My wife and kids understand that. I love to celebrate myself. Believe me, that would be like perfect, right? But there's this little thing called a football game tomorrow that I got to go do too, and I want to do. So it's been fun. I love like a lot of people. My mom has a birthday around Christmas, and that's hard for her, right? Because she has to share Christmas. It's hard you don't get your own day really. But with me, it's like I get to open my presents twice. You know, it's like I get to watch football and get some cards. So it's good stuff. Thank you all very much for the nice wishes. Really appreciate it.
So we got a lot of number ones coming through here while we wait. Justice Finkley, Keenan Robinson, hell of one of the more underrated players at Texas in the Mac Brown era, in my opinion. A lot of number ones, which we'll get to a little bit. We're getting closer to this announcement, guys. So it's the mom's birthday, man. Got to get everything set up. They're at Mandarin High. So I think that an announcement will be coming here shortly. But again, we're here early. We're here for 2 hours. We will be we have a guest coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. That's Blake, who's the beat writer for Colorado State.
Oh gosh, putting me on the spot like that, Jerry. His name is Kevin Lidle.
Kevin
Little, yes.
Kevin Lidle will be on to talk Colorado State, and then we have Brian Robison at 8:45. You never know; we might have another special guest. You just never know what's going to happen on this Friday. So we're here early. Thank you very much to everybody for joining in. Over 2,000 people now, getting ready for this Jaime Ffrench announcement. Again, Texas, Miami, Tennessee, LSU. We had one pick for LSU in the chat. We've had one LSU pick in the chat. We'll see on that.
They did say it was to reverse the curse.
Oh, to reverse the curse
is what I saw. And hey, real quick, guys, while we're still waiting, I want to read a couple more here. Adam Lane, super chat. Happy birthday, Bobby. Hook 'em. And then Jamie, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Let's go Horns. You guys are the best." Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate the support. And then Slick Rick with the super chat, the man, the myth, the legend, and everything Texas football. Happy birthday, Bobby. On Texas football, loves what you created. Thank you for creating a place for Longhorn fans to come together. You the man.
Man, that makes me feel good, Slick Rick, and all you guys chiming in. That's when we started this, Jerry. This is what we wanted, dude. A place for Texas fans to be able to come talk what they wanted to, listen to different recruiting information, team news, whatever we had. And I think we're well on our way because of the OGs out there and everything else that's going on On Texas football. So I appreciate you guys. Now we need Jaime Ffrench to make a decision because it's getting to be around that time. Blake and Jerry, a couple of football games last night.
Oh, yeah.
Shadur Sanders and Deion Sanders almost found a way to lose that game to North Dakota State.
North Dakota State got hosed if you didn't watch the end of that game.
Yep. A little home cooking perhaps there. But I would say this. Mac Brown survived on a field goal against Minnesota and got that done late, staved off a shanked field goal. Actually, I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but
he lost his quarterback for the year, Max Johnson, terrible knee injury. But I'll tell you what, North Carolina, that's what they were talking about. Nick Saban, they were talking about on College Game Day last weekend. If North Carolina won that game at Minnesota, if you look at their schedule, there's a pretty good shot because now the quarterback that replaced Max Johnson started the bowl game last year. He's a pretty good player, just young. Pretty good chance Carolina's 6-0 to start the season. That was a big win. If you look at their schedule, they got Charlotte, they got another non-conference, they got James Madison, I believe, and then the back half, the back 4 or 5 of their ACC games are their tough ones. There's a chance they're 6-0 when they play Georgia Tech. So that was a big win for Mac Brown. We told you they weren't going to row the boat on us, guys. Not going to row the boat.
Is that your Mac Brown impersonation of the PJ Flex?
Yes. Happy birthday, Bobby Burton. 55 is a big number. I saw it about 16 years ago.
God, Jerry. Where do you come up with this? I don't know. I mean, can anybody get in between Jerry's brain and try to figure out where this stuff comes up from? He just gets it all. Is this what happens between 7 and 8 before we see you at 8:15 most mornings? Yeah. You get rid of all this anxious, nervous energy. But the Sooners play tonight too. By the way, they kickstart their season on a Friday night. Don't ask me why they're playing Friday night. But we'll get a chance to see Jackson Arnold's debut as a full year starter. That'll be a good, interesting ability to watch that game tonight. Also, big stuff coming up over the weekend. We've got all you guys covered right now on game day this year. This is what our game day schedule looks like. We're going to do the Saturday conversation every Saturday morning, and I'm going to try to get it out by 7 a.m. That's how early we're going to try to get that up for you guys. Then on Saturday, we're going to do the Texas tailgate. That's going to be over at the Flat Creek Estate Wine Garden. That's a new place that's going to be in the actually on campus between the stadium and Bass Concert Hall on the north end of the stadium. Please come join us. Me and Jerry will be there from 12:30 to 1:30. Then Aaron Hogan is sponsoring the watch with, not sponsoring, is running the watch with us. Bob Shipley will be on, Rod Babers, Jerry Hamilton, and others. And then we're going to do the post-game live immediately following the game, and that will be from different places. Rod Babers, myself, Brian Robison, the former Longhorn player, will also be there as well with us. We got a lot of stuff going on right now as it relates to On Texas Football, getting ready for a big weekend to kick off the 2024 football season. Who else is y'all's favorite number one? That's a good topic as we wait here for Jaime Ffrench, because it's not been this. It's been, there's been a lot of good players, like you mentioned, Keenan Robinson. Mike Davis was number one, but it hasn't been this blow me away number. Like number two had some serious dudes in it, right? I do the Manscaped read in your Mac Brown voice. Oh wow, Jason, hey, that's Jordan's dad, right? I mean, that's You can't be asking him to do that, Jason.
Because I will.
Please do it.
Here's another. Hey, Antoine brings the numbers. Donnie Little, number one.
Oh, terrific one out of Dickinson High. Donnie Little, John Burt. Yep. He was number one as well. Magic Mike Davis. Jake Faust has that one to say. Good stuff. Worthy last year. What the heck?
Yeah, but
he was 8 for most of his career. You know what I mean? So when I think of Worthy, I don't know why I think that way, but
Chris Sims wore one as well,
and also 2.
Yeah,
the multiple number guys give me pause, but Worthy definitely shouldn't. Hudson Card starting at Purdue again this year. Good for him. Donnie Little brings back.
Dan Danheim says Johnny Walker.
Oh yeah, yep. Johnny caught a touchdown pass against OU to win a game. Jonte Cooks. If you UT boys out there, we are not forgetting about Jonte Cook. He'll
I
got
was
number
seeing
one.
UT Boy this morning. He's fishing. He forgot we were on early. He's out there fishing. I see Brandon Huey's in the chat. He's stretching those hamstrings, getting ready for Bevo Boulevard Saturday.
All right, hey, guys, as we wait for Jaime Ffrench, is there anything, like, Jerry, you like to mention Adonai Mitchell as a comparison for him, because just to give people in their mind's eye what somebody looks like and plays like if you'll roll film on young Mr. Ffrench, that would be fun for folks, because I see a little Adonai Mitchell too, because of the way he catches the ball.
Yep.
Not hand over hand, like that's a hand over hand and then a great move after. But if you watch, some of them are hand under. I mean, he catches it all different ways, but he catches them cleanly.
And exactly. So look at that.
He does that underneath.
Doesn't break stride. Here's the thing. That was against Creekside, who they had lost to 7 years in a row. They beat them. This is their season opener. Wet field. You see it's raining. Grass field, wet field. Just remember that with kids in Florida a lot of times. But Jaime Ffrench, the other thing is he is really, really good getting off of press coverage. He has got that kind of that quick shiftiness about him, same way A.D. Mitchell does. He may be a little better after the catch than A.D. Mitchell was at the same age, if you go back and watch the old tapes of A.D. Mitchell. But the reason I say that, frames. They have very similar frames. A.D. Mitchell, that was not 6'2", the 6'2", 205 guy that coming out of high school, he was at the combine at Texas. He was 6'1.5", 185-ish coming out of high school, 6'2", 185 coming out of high school. And now we're looking at Jaime for body control. I mean, you could see A.D. Mitchell pulling that play against TCU in your mind right now. Almost. It's different, but the body control, the ability to go up and adjust to the football in the air. And there, catches everything with the hand. See, he's got a little more stop-start after the catch. That's what, than A.D. Mitchell did. But A.D. Mitchell had some plays like that in high school too. But I think Jaime Ffrench may be a little better laterally. Here's the hand-eye, tip ball, catches it with his hands, accelerates. He's got a little acceleration, and he's going to be faster. There you see another grass field, bad field. But he's going to be faster than people think. He's faster than I thought when I saw him in person. I'll say that. He's got that ability when the ball is in the air to just go track it.
See that catch right there, Jerry, where it was a hand under? It wasn't even his hand on top like you're taught.
All right, Jaime Ffrench is committed to Texas.
There you go.
Hook 'em horns. Boom. Whatever you want to say, bud. Big time. That's a big one. Hey, Jerry, let's continue on here with Jaime Ffrench and talking about it. Kalik Lockett, Jerry, with Jaime Ffrench, by the way, they are both these longer receivers that can make competitive catches. And that seems to be something that Sark's going to be looking more and more for as Texas enters the SEC. Because we've talked about it, there typically are longer, faster defensive backs in the SEC. And that is not just us making that up and saying, woo, big SEC. We were talking to Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, a couple weeks back at SEC Media Days. He says, look, you might have 20 DBs in the SEC that get drafted. I mean, 20. Whereas in the Big 12, you might have 4 in a single year. So the DBs are a big part. That length and speed are a big part of what makes the SEC a different conference. And to combat that, you need guys like Jaime Ffrench and Kalik Lockett that can catch 50-50 balls, competitive catches. It is a big deal. And now, Jerry, that puts Texas at 19 commitments for the recruiting class. What does this do, in your opinion, for Texas and its recruiting situation, I guess? Is it 19 or it is 19, right?
It's 19. So Texas will move up to probably 6 in your industry rankings. right where you want to be, right? I mean, for a 4th straight top 5 class, as we continue to watch Jaime Ffrench highlights, and there are a lot of them. But it puts Texas 6th in the class rankings. Look, Texas, we believe, still leads for Michael Terry. If Texas can close out Michael Terry, then they jump to 5. I mean, so you're right where you want to be. So then the question, then it comes down to with Texas is a 4th straight top 5 class looks like a reality as long as they handle business on the field. And then Jaime Ffrench even physical blocking there. I like it. I like it, Jamie. And then look, then it comes down to filling needs when you get the 24, 25 commitments. There's 2 or 3 spots on the D line, couple of spots at DB, got a spot at linebacker. Brandon Huey, Madden Frame. We'll see what happens there. Notre Dame, I think, is still a leader. And then you have potentially that 3rd wide receiver, which would be a speed slot type wide receiver in this class to go with Khalil Lockett and Jaime Ffrench, because Texas has knocked the X receiver out of the park here. And Jaime Ffrench has versatility. I think Khalil Lockett's an outside X, tremendous body control, big hands, catch radius, all that. Khalil Lockett, he's built to play X receiver and go win and turn 50-50 balls into 80-20 balls. So that is the Texas class is right about, it's been a kind of a winding road here, but the Texas class sits there around number 6 in the country. And if Texas wins out for Michael Terry in the next few weeks, they're suddenly sitting there at number 5 with 4 or 5 spots left in the class. So that it's right where Steve Sarkisian, these guys are going to recruit at on an annual basis, I believe. I think the key for Texas fans to get accustomed to maybe is if you have 52, 53 official visitors and 48 of those are national recruitments, essentially even guys in the state of Texas, if you win 22 of those, I mean, you're not going to win them all. And if you bring in 50 plus visitors and you end up signing 22 out of those national recruitments, you're essentially going to sign a top 5 class every season with the level of talent Texas is bringing in on visits. Then it becomes filling your needs.
All right, guys, let me fix this here. And man, there's so many questions. The chat is just like ecstatic right now. I can't even keep up.
Hey, hold on, Blake. While you're looking, let me say this again. We've been talking about this. We talked about this last night. Jacksonville, Florida. This is a new win area for Texas to win in. Jacksonville, Florida. There is a lot of talent that comes out of the Jacksonville area, and then in that bleeds over into South Georgia, that Kingsland, Camden County, up to Savannah. Some of those areas are really, really talented in the state of Georgia. Now Texas has had success in Orlando with a highly ranked player in Cedric Baxter. They go down to IMG, highly ranked player Jarrett Gibson and Jordan Johnson Rebellos from Texas. You have Diabell in 2026 at American Heritage, one of the power programs. They play tonight, by the way. Diabell had a pretty good game last week against a stacked Milton team. Then now you've won on a 5-star, highly ranked national recruitment out of Jacksonville, Florida. Texas is proving they can recruit the Sunshine State. So all I got to say to Sark is keep offering more guys in Florida. I like those trips.
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to ask you some questions here, guys.
Hey, I just started my birthday off really well, guys.
There you go.
I'm just going to tell you. That's the way the birthday is supposed to go.
Somebody asked if Ffrench was a high. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was going to be my first question to you, Jerry. And then a lot of people are asking this, and this is just one of the many questions from Jeff here. It says, where does that place us in the 2025 class recruiting rankings? Where do you
round 6 or 7? Probably 6 across the industry, maybe 7 by somebody, but 6, 7. So right in the wheelhouse of where you want to be. And again, if Michael Terry goes Texas way in September, then Texas will be right there, ranked 5.
And then our next one, guys, a super chat here from Keelan. He says, how long was Ffrench a silent, Jerry?
Yeah, it's been a while. But hey, look, Jerry, this is what you and I try to tell folks. There have been highs in this class that didn't end up Longhorns. So that's why, while it is a good sign, it's not. That's why we wait until the very last second to say or do anything specifically to it. because it is just, it's one of those deals where you have to be a little cautious with where you go, because this is a new day and age too with NIL. Things can happen at the 23rd hour, really, before or 11th hour, whatever you want to call it, before a guy makes his announcement. And so that is one that we have to be a little reticent to put our necks out there, especially on a national recruit. To Jerry's point, this is a guy that lives all the way down I-10 in Jacksonville, Florida. He's not in the backyard where you know everything necessarily that's going on. But what a great commitment for the Longhorns. 2 5-star receivers now for Texas in this recruiting class. Still after Michael Terry, Jonah Williams, 5-star as well, Jerry. The numbers are starting to stack up a little bit. People were wondering when Steve Sarkisian would turn on some juice in recruiting. Apparently it's August. that would be the answer to that, right? It's August for Steve Sarkisian in the Longhorns.
By the way, a question here I want to get to.
Go ahead.
Somebody's asking about, hold on, the chat's moving so fast. Nathaniel Wosi-Boateng, we talked about him a little last night. Linebacker IMG. I think Madden Faramo's timeline has an impact here if that visit actually happens. So if Madden Faramo commits elsewhere, I think that visit happens. Or when Madden Faramo visits Texas again, how Texas feels about Madden Faramo will I think that will have a direct impact on Nathaniel Wosi-Boateng's recruitment and with Texas. Linebacker, IMG, Notre Dame, Michigan, a couple others involved there.
All right, guys, let me get through some of these super chats. And again, bear with me because there are so many of them. Coach 420 actually put this in earlier, but I wanted to save it till after the French commitment. He said Ed Small with 3 touchdowns in the Taco Shack last night. One-time Texas baseball commit, Ed Small, now at TCU. I like Ed Small, and I know Rod Babers is high on him too. Jerry, what's your thoughts on Ed Small?
Yeah, really good. Obviously, big-time baseball player. Really good wide receiver as well. A solid player. I mean, he's got some power to him. Tough kid. He's got, look, again, these guys that are quality baseball players that go track a baseball, you know what that translates to in football at wide receiver. Those guys can make a play on a ball when they have to look up and go find the football. And Ed Small's one of those guys, really solid player. And it's easy to get lost in this class at wide receiver because it's totally stacked.
I got to say this. If they go to 105 scholarships, Jerry, don't you try to get him in this class? Because I would. I was just telling you that those kind of guys tend to maximize. And I'm not saying he's perfect, right? But when you go to 105 scholarships, you can take a couple of those guys that you think can transcend what some aspect of some shortcoming they might have vis-a-vis other players. You can take the Julian Edelmans or the Wes Welkers or those guys that you don't know if they're going to translate, but then they actually do. That gives you some leeway, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Texas is going to do that because obviously the 105 is not in whatever you want to call it in effect until next year. But that's my thought.
And some more super chats here. This one from Zachary. Thank you, Zachary. Happy birthday, Bobby. And then Boone with the super chat. Happy birthday, Mama French and Bobby B. Thank you, Boone. And a big one here from Nate Russ. Happy birthday and hook 'em to you, Bobby. And then another one here from It's 420 Somewhere. Happy birthday, Bobby Burton. Can we get a birthday Manscaped read?
No.
No, he shuts it down right away. And then to Jerry, is there any smoke behind the IMG 4-star linebacker reportedly visiting Texas? What you got there, Jerry?
That's what I just hit on, Boateng. I think that'll depend on Madden Faramo's timeline and where Madden Faramo goes.
There you go. And then one here from Texas Beats. He says that Colorado clock operator was foul.
Well, look, I mean, what about the targeting that wasn't called? This should have been called. That would have been 15 yards for Indy State. And I'm not wishing on Colorado loss. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, look, Derek Williams got suspended for a hit on a kickoff return that cost him the first half of the Washington college football semifinal game. And then that one wasn't called, and that's blatant. If you missed it, there's videos out there. That was blatant. That's a big difference at that point in the game when a team's trying to go in and win a game.
And then we got some more guys. We got a lot more guys. I'm not going to lie here. John with the super chat. You guys are the absolute best in the business. Thank you for all the time you put into keeping us informed on all things Longhorn football. And Bobby, I don't think there's a better time than that to go ahead and plug on TexasFootball.com. Why don't you tell folks what you got cooking over there?
Yeah, it's French Friday today at On Texas Football. I had to put that out there. I just came up with that. I'm sure I'm not the first. But no, on TexasFootball.com, as well as On Texas Football, the video and podcast. Guys, we've been doing this now for about a year and a half, 2 years. Really excited about the future and where we're going. I'm just as excited about the Texas Longhorn football team. If you want to join in the discussion on the message boards, please do. It's a growing community each and every year. You guys have helped make it part of what I do each and every day. I appreciate that. Visit us. You can get a subscription, annual subscription right now for $39.95 if you use the code OTFOG. That's OTFOG. We are 24 hours away, 36 hours away, something like that, or 30 hours away from Texas playing Colorado State. It is going to be a fun game tomorrow, and I'm ready to get after it and watch the Longhorns play. I'm looking, guys, at this game, and we talked about this a little bit, Jerry, last night. It's a little bit of a referendum on the Texas secondary, the Texas edge play on defense, those two, and then the Texas wide receiver / quarterback rapport. Those are the things that this game against Colorado State are a referendum on, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Blake, any chance that you have that picture of Jaime Ffrench?
Oh, I am so glad you said that because I do. Give me just a second here, Jerry. And why don't you go ahead and give people the backstory while I get it queued up?
So this is funny. When I went to Jacksonville Mandarin in May to see Jaime Ffrench, by the way, got one of those Florida just monsoons that day during practice. But I sat down, did a video interview with Jaime Ffrench. It's logged on. You can find that on Texas Football. And Jaime was like, and I finished the interview. It's so funny. Jamie's an unbelievable kid. Man, we finished the video interview, and he said, "Hey, man, don't you want the Hookem photo for later?" And I was like, yeah, I better get that one. You're right. So there it is. That was in May. Jaime Ffrench, after we did the video interview, which we published here on Texas Football. That's at Mandarin High Stadium there in Jacksonville. And that was pretty much his idea. So if you've been wondering about how long he's been maybe a lean to Texas, it's been a while.
Good stuff for sure. All right, let's get in. Speaking of good stuff, let's get into some more super chats here because we do have a ton of them. Major Alexander, I can hear the OU tears already.
Look, I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about, but I'll say this. If OU's not going to lose to Temple, by the way, they'll blow them out. But if they did, I mean, that would be pretty much the end of it for old BB.
That would
I'm not saying the next day, but man, that's not one you come back from at home in year 3.
And then Blake Cooper with the super chat. Blake says, "Hook 'em on Texas football family. Appreciate you guys." Well, Blake, we appreciate you. And then Champ Bailey 3, French and Bobby got me feeling good to start my 4-day weekend. Happy birthday, Bobby. And hook 'em, Jamie. And then Jerry, this next super chat is for you from Jay Lee. Thank you, Jay Lee. Any idea of Michael Terry's timeline? Is it the sooner the better?
Look, it feels like late September right now, but the no date has been announced. He's been a tough one because he's moved this timeline around. At one point, he was thinking about waiting until the Adidas All-America game in San Antonio to make a public commitment in front of a lot of people in San Antonio, friends, family, everything. he's backed off of that. So I'm thinking September, late September, potentially, or early October. Look, he can move it up. This one's kind of moved all over the place, but made it through August now, almost through August without him announcing. So it's looking, when CJ Vogel was down there last week, it's looking like late September right now. We'll see. We'll see if that we'll see if that changes.
And then some more super chats, guys. This next one here from Longhorn Frenzy. Happy birthday, Bobby. Appreciate all your hard work. Enjoy your day. Hook 'em, and happy French Friday. And
thanks, Longhorn Frenzy. Appreciate you, man.
Then one from Antonio Harris. He says, we have to give props to wide receiver coach Chris Jackson.
I agree with this, Jerry. There were a couple guys that Chris Jackson we know liked that were the longer guys, Khalil Lockett and Jaime Ffrench. He got both of them. You know, I think he liked Emmanuel Choice that went to out of Lancaster, that went to OU as well. But, you know, look, outside of Decorian Moore, recruiting at wide receiver has gone as well as could be possibly planned right now. Now they've got some more to go potentially, but it's a good start. And Chris Jackson, you know, I tell you what happened is Steve Sarkisian relayed a story earlier this week about Chris Jackson. And, you know, Chris Jackson spent most of his time in the NFL as a coach, be it as a assistant wide receiver coach or wide receiver coach outright. And he didn't go to a big time college football program. I think he went to Washington State, right? And what he had to say, Sark kind of convinced him of just what and how big time college football can be and how much he likes Saturdays. And Chris Jackson was like, you know what? Yeah, I do like it. This is big time. It is a lot of fun to have those Saturdays. Sark was recounting that conversation. Look, I love the fact that Sark, for the most part, has kept almost all of his coaches and staff intact. You see that in the players and their ability to learn over time. It's not just a 1-year learning period, right? It's a multi-year learning period at these positions, and most of them. A wide receiver will be one of them. And Chris Jackson, coming over from the NFL, certainly has the pedigree. No different in many ways than Kenny Baker, guys, by the way, of being able to teach what needs to be taught on the college level from a pro perspective. So hopefully that is resonating a little bit with the Jaime Ffrenches, Khalil Lockett's of the world, and will do so at defensive tackle too in the future for Kenny Baker.
And I'll say this. Somebody asked about Kelshawn Johnson. I think Texas will stay in contact with Kelshawn as well. I do think that. Kelshawn's, by the way, hadn't been out with a toe injury. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight or if they're going to hold him out. But had a little bit of a nick there in August camp. We'll see if he plays tonight. The South end zone queen. Yeah, I got to bring this up from game last night. Can't believe Max Johnson's injured again and out for the season. Really tough for Max Johnson. I mean, really tough injury once again for Max Johnson, who was playing pretty well for North Carolina. North Carolina beats Minnesota 19-17 last night and has a schedule to start 6-0. And we're going to be 6-0, guys.
It never gets old. Something else that doesn't get old is all these super chats. And Thunderpup says, in your opinion, if Decorian Moore committed to Texas, would today's commitment have been different?
Oh, would Jaime Ffrench been affected by Decorian Moore, Jerry Hamilton?
I don't think Jaime Ffrench would have been. No, I think Jaime Ffrench was I think there's some things with Jaime in Texas. Having been down there twice and spent some time with Jaime in Jacksonville. The offense, what AD Mitchell did at Texas, the quarterback room. Then you have the athletic academic combination, which I know his mom, happy birthday to his mom, really liked about Texas. Then you have the city of Austin, the NIL opportunities, everything. Jaime Ffrench is a super media smart kid, super media smart, gets it 100% as well as you can for a kid his age. I think he sees all the business opportunities for the future in Austin. I think Jaime Ffrench sees all of that. And the other thing there is, I think he wanted to get out of Florida and do something different. I mean, and that is a big thing with him. But I think Texas had everything he was looking for, what his parents were looking for academically. But Jaime he's a big thinker. Like I've said before, you've seen the smile, you've seen him on video, how natural he is. I think once his playing days are over, which should be an NFL career if he stays healthy, he'll be one of those guys on TV if he wants to be. He's built for it. He was made for it. He's really, really good at this stuff.
We got some more super chats, fellas. And let me start with this one here from Robert Counts. Thank you, Robert. He says, hook 'em. We appreciate your support, Robert. And then Mac, I believe this is the comment that he wanted with the super chat. Do you guys know French? If not, it's about time to learn.
Oui. I'm using my Babbel. I know a little bit more Spanish because of Babbel. So "si, senor" is not the answer there. But I agree, Mac.
And then JJ with the super chat. JJ says, all up in my feels here in Oz. Thanks for all you guys do. It's a freaking awesome day. It's funny because the double F's. So thank you, JJ. And Derek Wisner says, happy 55th, young man. Is Michael Terry enrolling early?
Jerry, I was told he was. Did you get the same? Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, so that's good. Michael Terry's the guy out of Alamo Heights. It'll be interesting. Like he's playing a lot of running back this year, apparently, Jerry.
Running back wide out. Yep.
Yeah. So he's going to rotate between those two spots. He'd be the next piece of this puzzle that may domino.
Hey, by the way, no doubt. By the way, we've had a lot of people jump in. Can we play those Jonah Williams clips from last night again?
Yep. Give me just a second here, Jerry, to get those up. Let me find something for y'all to talk about. Wow.
No, I'm good. I won't go over last night. Jonah Williams, 5 touchdowns, returned the opening kickoff of the season, 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, blocked the extra point. Elijah Bo Barnes, big game last night. Dallas Skyline beat North Forney 21-7. Elijah Bo Barnes, 3 sacks, 4 additional quarterback pressures, and 13 tackles is what I was sent to be. Obviously, his linebackers coach there is none other than Peter Jenkins at Dallas Skyline. Christian Scott's the secondary coach. The head coach there, Jacody Coleman, was a very good linebacker at Iowa in college out of Beaumont Westbrook High School. So Elijah Barnes, 239 pounds. He was rocking it just like he was last night, about 15 pounds heavier. 3 sacks, 4 quarterback pressures, 13 tackles. He'll play some offense, a little bit of offense as the season moves along. And we're talking about Elijah Bo Barnes. And then Caleb Chester and Marshall came back and beat Friendswood last night. I haven't seen a stat line for Caleb Chester from that game. Both Texas quarterback commits in action tonight. KJ Lacey, Dia Bell. KJ Lacey had a tremendous game 1 against a really good Jackson High team. Dia Bell, they lost to Milton. Milton was absolutely stacked team, one of the best, most talented offenses you'll see in high school football as far as Power 4 level talents. And then be back on the field tonight against, I believe it's Western High in the Broward County. This is Jonah Williams, opening kickoff of the season. This is against Manville over at I don't know what they call it, Alvin ISD Stadium or what they call it these days, but this is against Manville High. Obviously, Manville High, coached by Kurt Martin. They had some really good teams at Manville before they opened Shadow Creek, which Shadow Creek kind of cut into Manville. They may not be quite as good as they used to be, but Manville sells a lot of players over there. And there you see Jonah Williams playing wide out, returning a kickoff. This is the catch here. This is the body control. Oh, no, that's just the one where it was a busted coverage. But then there's another catch here where he catches body control right here. Caden Barker, their junior quarterback, good player. That's what's going to help Galveston ball. He moved in from Clear Falls 2 years ago. I think his dad works down at UT Medical Center down there. but he's a lower Division I level quarterback. That really helps Galveston ball because they have Jonah Williams. They have another receiver, Dion, who's a D1 kid. They have an edge kid that they may play a little offense, Phoenix Pope, who's committed to Louisiana Lafayette as an outside backer. They have a junior kid, Woodbury, who's a pretty good player as well. So Galveston ball has some weapons. Quarterback moving in 2 years ago. This is his second year playing with those guys, gives them a shot. They're going to score more points than they have in previous seasons at Galveston ball.
All right, guys, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everybody out there about one of our newest sponsors. I know you're super excited about this one, so go ahead and spill the beans for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in the game. Football season is here. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. How does it work? It's simple. Just download the Underdog app or go online, and it takes almost no time. Playing their pick'em game, I can make picks and submit an entry in less than 60 seconds, or I can take all the time I want, dig even deeper, making up to 8 picks in a single entry to win up to 325 times my money. Underdog adds a ton of excitement to the sports viewing experience. It did that last night, especially for football, which is why I personally love it. And the best part is you can watch your progress update in real time. Today, Underdog is hooking us up for the start of football season. Go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code ONTEXAS, all one word, ONTEXAS, for a first deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. They also have an additional site-wide Travis Kelce free pick that you'll be able to take advantage of up until NFL kickoff next week. Again, underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code ONTEXAS, one word, right now for a first deposit offer of up to $1,000 and get 2 picks free if you count the Travis Kelce free pick. That's Underdog Fantasy, our choice and the choice for daily fantasy. That's underdogfantasy.com. Y'all have fun with it this year. We're all going to be playing and commenting on it. We'll have a couple of different segments as well for people that enjoy that sort of stuff. It is a fun time to be a college football fan.
Okay, guys, we got a lot more going on. First, we're going to have Colorado beat writer with us here, Kevin Lidle, here just probably in about 15 minutes or so. He's going to talk the Colorado State game. We'll go over that. But first, let's get to some more of these super chats because, man, there are a ton of them. And Bryson says, hook 'em forever with 2 F's. Thank you, Bryson. We appreciate it. And then Major Alexander, thank you for your super chat. He says, if they land Terry with the 2 wide receivers they have committed, you have to be more excited to get 3 5-star wide receivers over possibly getting 1. Question is, will Terry play wide receiver?
Yeah, I'll be surprised long term on that. But he's a hell of a talent. So he's one of those guys you just want to get on your roster and kind of figure it out once he gets there. And I think that's the way Texas recruiting give you a shot at wide out. Whatever happens at that point, we'll adjust if it's not wide receiver. Look, I've said for a while, I mean, when we see what Amari Niblack's going to do for this Texas offense, I think there's a lot of similarities there, Bobby, from an athletic standpoint, size standpoint. Amari Niblack's a tight end that may play some X at times. So he may not be a traditional tight end a lot of times the way Texas may use him this year, but he is a tight end. I think Michael Terry, that's where his frame will probably take. It's going to be hard for Michael Terry not to weigh 230, 240 one day. Just a big kid, long limb. Hadn't even come close to maximizing that frame at all. Just getting started.
I want to say this. Texas does not have the biggest wide receiver core right now. They don't have a lot of size at receiver other than Ryan Wingo and Parker Livingstone, who's not in the top rotation, at least at this point. These guys, they bring some size, and Michael Terry would bring some size to that unit. Kalik Lockett does. And so Jonah Williams is another. The thing that I like about some of these commitments that Texas is getting now, Jerry, they're getting elite athletes with bigger size.
Yep.
I mean, Jonah Williams is a big athlete. Michael Terry would be a big athlete. Let's see how it all rolls out. But that's just an undercurrent of what I'm seeing and thinking about behind the scenes. How do these guys, bigger athletes, Nick Townsend, bigger athlete with 10.9 speed, right?
Yeah.
How are they playing out right now? Hey, I got to say this. This is a good comment from Barry, a Longhorn. Wide receivers landed since Chris Jackson was hired: Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, Silas Bolden, Khalil Lockett, Jaime Ffrench, Parker Livingstone, and Freddie DeBose. Not a bad list at all for Chris Jackson. Before we go on into anything else, and I know we're talking about recruiting largely this morning because Jaime Ffrench just committed. If you're joining us from at our regular time of 8:15 on the Coffee and Football Show, or we came on early today to talk about Jaime Ffrench and his pledge to the Longhorns. Jerry, I want to talk about something that CJ Vogel reported late yesterday. We've been talking about there being a battle, so to speak, at guard on the offensive line, and that Hayden Connor had kind of solidified his spot as a starter, but DJ Campbell was locked in a little bit of a battle with Nato Umeozulu as well as Cole Hudson. It appears that at least right now, DJ Campbell has held them off at this point and will be the starter on Saturday. Beyond that, we are still looking at a platoon at wide receiver. And we do not know exactly, based on our sourcing, exactly what Texas is going to do on defense. They could come out in a dime package with both Gilbo and Jahdae Barron on the field at the same time against Colorado State. You just don't know. It could be literally team specific in what the Longhorns attempt to do this year. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's the latest news from the 40 acres on the team. Sark met with the media briefly yesterday. Talked a little bit, Jerry, about one of your favorite players, Ryan Niblett. Niblett looks like he's going to be a Swiss Army knife a little bit for Texas. We'll get some time at slot, but it's clear they're going to try to use him maybe in the return game at times. They're going to try to use him at running back. They're going to try to get him the ball because that was a guy that Sark said came on at the latter part of fall camp yesterday.
Yeah. No, Ryan Niblett, again, one of the things, my thought on Ryan Niblett's always been this. If you play quarterback, running back, wide receiver, punter, punt return, emergency safety, kickoff return man, you can't do all that unless you're a tough kid.
So Davion Red was that way too.
Right.
He was a tough kid.
High school coaches, they don't do that unless the kid's a tough player, right? They don't want to put him in that harm's way unless he's tough, he's got physicality to him, and by the way, can process all of it. Ryan Niblett came out of Eisenhower as a very raw wide receiver because that's what Eisenhower had to do. They had to move him all around to win football games. Their job's to win games. So he came out very raw. But the one thing he's 10'5", and he's tough. Now, he's a tough kid. And I love that Sark said that yesterday. And the other thing with Ryan Niblett, it would have been really easy for him to walk out the door at the end of the spring last year when the spring portal window opened. You know, you brought in 3 guys out of the portal at wide receiver, right? There's some instances where guys just bounce at that time. I think I'll go to Tulane or Houston and go start or somewhere like that. Ryan Niblett didn't do that. And by the way, Texas didn't want him to do that. So that you kind of knew what Texas was thinking as far as Ryan Niblett's upside. I love that Sark said they've got a role for him this year because the reality is Texas is a faster team this year than last year as a whole, 1 through 85. But there's still not many guys that run 10-5 on this fast team. Those guys, Bobby says all the time, you want touchdown scorers. I think Ryan Niblett can be a touchdown scorer for Texas. By the way, and on the guard competition, I think that's really going to go into the games. Look, I mean, if you go back to Alabama game last year, DJ Campbell's the starter. Cole Hudson actually played more snaps at the right guard in that game than Cole Hudson got hurt. So starter or not, the competition, I think the final competition is going to happen in the game. But I expect Texas to rotate these guys a little more than last year. And remember, Cole Hudson got hurt last year. That changed what Texas' plan was as far as rotating the guards. They had planned to do that more last year. This year, you have Neto a year or older, Cole Hudson in year 3, who Cole Hudson may have a career in football. He just battled injuries. They played through it end of his freshman year, missed the spring, then had the setback, got injured again last year. So he's had a couple of the injury bug a little bit, but he's a really good football player. I think that on the field is where this is going to ultimately be decided. But Texas is working from a good spot, and that their guards are older players now. This 22 class has grown up now.
Somebody mentioned that Westlake, Jerry, in the chat, Westlake beat Prosper last night, 35-14.
That's a huge win for Westlake.
Yeah,
that is. The quarterback that I think is pretty impressive over there, Reese Weiss, passed for 355 yards.
And look, Prosper has as good offensive line as there is in high school football in America. I mean, they're all 5 starters, I believe, are going to end up being Power 4 players. So that means Westlake's defensive front is really good this year, Chaps fans. You don't hold Prosper to 14 with that offensive line unless your front 7. And Salazar's a tremendous defensive coach, obviously, unless your front 7 is really good. Doesn't happen.
Okay, we got some more super chats here that we need to knock out, fellas. And I'm going to just jump right into them. This one from BT. He says, hook 'em from Tokyo. Thanks for everything you do. Jerry, go Stangs, Friendswood High School class of 2010. Bobby, happy birthday. But just wanted to mention that I worked Dobie in Tunis in my time.
There you go, BT. There you go. Thank you for the super chat and the birthday wishes. Hey, guys, we're looking at all this and thinking about Texas in this season. I'm at the point now where we're a day away, right? Was there any, and so we can look back on it this off season, maybe. Was there anything that was a major surprise for y'all this off season? Like things that you just didn't. DeCorian Moore was a big one for me because I thought Texas prioritized him heavily and had a chance. But was there anything that just came out as a major surprise? Because I want to say this, and the reason that's been one of the things about Steve Sarkisian. The last couple of years, I mean, it's been pretty calm waters with this team off the field. And I should knock on wood while I'm saying that. But, other than the Samaje Burrell thing.
Champ Bailey won it. He won this conversation. Here it is, Molly.
Jonah committing to Texas was a surprise for you. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying necessarily a pleasant surprise. I'm saying a uh-oh moment.
Yeah.
I'm saying oh no, this like maybe Cedric Baxter getting injured was an uh-oh moment. But
for sure, for sure.
But my point isn't that those are things that are outside the coach's control or even the team's control. If you think as a coach, and I did the lunch with a coach with Brian Irwin and Bob Shipley on Tuesday, right? And they said that, as coaches, they're worried about things that happen off the field or staying healthy, things like that. Terrence Brooks transfer, maybe, but I know for a fact that was mutual. Like Texas didn't push on that. And I just think that, taking all of that together, there have been very few uh-oh moments. And that's how you build a team, I think, over time, is you don't lose them to off-field shenanigans. You know what I mean? Sharma and Charles committing to other schools on
Sharma more than Charles, though. Because look, Charles still is Port Charlotte. Odell Hagens have been recruiting him a long time. That was different. Josiah Sharma had given quotes that I'm going to Texas the night before he committed to Oregon. So that one probably in the coach's office, that would probably be a winner of this conversation. Oh, Schloss coming to Texas.
That was a pleasant surprise, right? That was, but my point isn't, when I was talking about this, it's like even the recruiting stuff doesn't affect the team. like even Decorian Moore or Josiah Sherman. I'm talking about what Sark's done with this team in this program. Outside of the issue with Samaje Burrell in the last 2 years, has there been anything where people were like, uh-oh, something's going wrong with this program?
No.
You see what I'm saying? And how good is that to get through an entire offseason where you don't feel that we don't remember. I'm just telling you, that's hard when you have 85 kids, Jerry.
Yeah. No, it is.
Hopefully it means the team's dialed in and the coaches are dialed in. Hopefully.
Look, to your point, Bobby, Georgia's ranked number 1 in the country. They may be the best team. They're going to have the best offensive line, I think, in college football. They may be the best team. That's going to have to play out on the field. But their offseason was a bumpy road.
That's what I'm saying.
Now they have 2 national championships, and they've lost 1 game in how many weeks? It's been a long time since they've lost a second game. But they had some bumpy roads there.
This is the great comment. Schloss and Justin Tucker should be our honorary team captains. You think Schlossnagel would go be a team captain against A&M? On the pleasant surprise part, people, I think that Schlossnagel was one of them. There were some other positives as well.
Can I just say this? I want to answer that. If you're willing to leave A&M to go to Texas the day after the College World Series, oh yeah, you'll be the captain.
I don't think you would.
You don't think, Blake?
I don't think you would.
I think he wants to see that period behind him.
Yes, I think that's what it comes down to. He's ready just to focus on Texas and not worry about A&M at all. So I think that's really what it comes down to. You're on the right track there, Bobby. All right, guys. Tub in Texas. Thank you for the super chat. Happy birthday, Bobby Burton. I'll be joining the 50 club in a couple weeks. How sick will Texas be with Arch and these wideouts? So looking to the future a little bit here, guys.
Well, Lockett, Wingo, French. What that does for me is what we've hit on a lot in recent weeks, especially after the Khalil Lockett commitment to Texas. Bigger, longer, outside receivers that turn 50-50 balls into 75-25 balls against taller, longer, more athletic, on average corners in the SEC. I think that is big as Texas moves into the SEC. Having multiple guys like that is going to be a quarterback's best friend in the SEC. There's going to be more man coverage. There's going to be probably a little more immediate duress for the quarterback to play under. So having a guy that if that free blitzer comes through, you can throw a back shoulder ball to, or you can make an area code throw to a couple of different guys on the field at the same time that can go up and make a play on the ball. I don't think we know how big that'll be until it actually starts happening.
Hey, I gotta say this for you worrying about getting close to 50. I was worried about 50 as well when I was about to turn 50. And now that I'm in them, I'm not. It's been a great time. So, guys, age is just a number. That would be my comment to you guys.
Hey, Tyler Rolos, I want to get into something because we had a question earlier in the chat, and I want to address this. Tyler Rolo, Nick Townsend will be a beast. Sorry, I can't remember who said this. Somebody mentioned Lance Jackson and guys that could be 5 stars in this class. And look, I'm a little slower on the rankings because I want to be a big senior year guy moving forward. I think our industry's kind of missed senior year because the recruiting process moves so fast. But I'll say this. Lance Jackson, Nick Townsend, Smith Orogbo, obviously Jonah's ranked where he is, Khalil Lockett, Jaime Ffrench. Texas has a number of guys here in this class that I think could end up being 5 stars. Will all of them? Probably not. But some of those guys definitely can. Because I'm big on the last 5-star ranking, not the sophomore 5-star ranking, because so much changes. And I think in our industry, people box themselves in with early rankings. So what do these guys look like senior year? You just saw Jonah Williams' first game. He's a football-focused guy now more than baseball. That elevates him for me big time long term, no matter how good he is on the field on Friday nights his junior year. When he becomes a football-focused player, that changes his trajectory for me versus, hey, I may play college football, but you know what? This MLB draft looks really good over here. Now we're talking about a guy that made a football decision. But Lance Jackson, Smith Orogbo, Nick Townsend's a total beast. Totally agree. They play Port Arthur Memorial tonight, by the way. Texas has a number of guys. I think they're going to have a number of guys that finish top 50 prospects in the country with a few guys as 5 stars in this class. It's headed in the right direction.
Okay, guys, I think our guest is here and ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in here. Kevin Lidle. Kevin covers Colorado State up there in Colorado. Kevin, welcome to Coffee and Football.
You got your microphone muted, Kevin.
Well, off to a good start. Thanks for having me, guys.
Are you already in Austin, or are you still in Fort Collins, Denver area?
Yep. I was able to get down here yesterday, actually. So I do a little bit of touristing around combined with the work.
Did you go see the bats?
Last night. We did make a little walk over there. Didn't hang out all evening, but yeah, got around, got some barbecue. You know, did the whole stereotypical Colorado kid coming to Texas thing.
Good for you, man. Longhorns 32.5-point favorites, give or take a half point right now, I think, in most of the sports books. But Steve Sarkisian has not covered his first couple of games of a year coming out of the chute. Colorado State coming off a pretty good year last year. Actually, they didn't make a bowl game, but they did actually push a little bit. They have a fine wide receiver, a good quarterback coming back. They've got a transfer wide receiver from Baylor and Armani Winfield. What are your thoughts on this matchup for Colorado State, and what do you see transpiring on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously, everyone knows what this game is in a lot of ways. Texas is Texas. Colorado State is, I think you kind of nailed it, a team that has pushed and improved. When Jay Norvell took over a couple of years ago, the program was frankly in a disaster place. They had ran it into the ground with Steve Adazio prior. So it was a full rebuild, not like a reset type of situation. So now they feel good about where they're at. It's a pretty veteran group. You mentioned Torrey Horton. He's a superstar. He could play, I think, just about anywhere. Armani Winfield, really intrigued to see what he does in this offense. So yeah, I think it's obviously they're coming to try and, make Texas sweat a little bit, make it a worry. But I think big picture, this team that hopes to show some good stuff Saturday, see, especially offensively, see if they can move the ball, get some things done. Most likely, probably not leave with a win, but, I think they hope to leave with some confidence. If you can move the ball, a decent bit, here in Austin, they'll be feeling pretty good that they can do that the rest of the year.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us. My question's on the defensive line for Colorado State. Lost 3 key guys. Safety's tremendous. Couple of guys that may have careers in football back there. Really experienced secondary. Wilson, a really good linebacker. Talk about that defensive front, because listening to Jay Norvell's press conference, I think that was his area of concern defensively going into this game.
Yeah, you 100% nailed it there. Mo Camara was awesome on the edge last year. He's with the Dolphins now. 13 sacks a year ago. Even if healthy, they weren't going to replace that with one guy. It was going to be by the aggregate. But then Newer Gatkuth, who is going to be potentially one of those edge replacements, he's out. He has a turf toe. They have a couple other guys a little banged up. It's a pretty inexperienced defensive line. I think they have some guys they're excited about their future, but the right now, especially against Texas, I think there's definitely concern that that defensive front could be in for a little bit of a tough Saturday.
Is there, Kevin, speaking with Kevin Lidle is it Little or Lidle? We'll just get
Lidle.
that out. Lidle. Kevin Lidle of the Coloradoan up there in the state of Colorado. Kevin, I have a question for you. Is there anything that you think Texas will be surprised by with Colorado State this weekend? Like something like that?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Probably nothing, X's and O's wise. That'll be a big shock. Everyone knows everyone these days. But I think maybe the depth of that passing core or receiving core, I should say, Torrey Horton, Armani Winfield, I think they're going to be aware of those guys. But they have some youngsters that are really, really talented that I think could kind of show up on this one. And then CSU is hoping the running game is going to be part of that as well. They have a stable of running backs that Justin Marshall, a redshirt freshman, is going to get the start, and he'll probably get the chance to have the bulk of the carries. But they have really 6 guys who could be in the mix back there. So CSU will hope that Saturday night Texas fans are going, oh, man, those running backs look pretty good.
Hey, Kevin, the offensive line for Colorado State, that's where this game obviously is big for Colorado State, because they got to protect. They only gave up 14 sacks last year, which is a tremendous number. They get the ball out quick. But Texas, as you know, is going to run numbers of defensive front guys at Colorado State. Those offensive tackles, I mean, is the tackles the strength? Are they going to be able to hold up? Because I think the center may play in the NFL for the Rams. He's a really dang good player. How do you think the tackles will hold up against the edges for Texas?
Yeah, I think you're right. Jacob Gardner at center. Norvell feels the same. He's a guy who started, I think, 45 games at this point. He's played a ton of games in college. I think he'll definitely have a chance on Sundays. Tackle, I think pretty solid. Savion Henderson, he's a guy that they actually plucked from the lower ranks a year ago. Was really, really solid. He's pretty steady. Right side's going to be interesting. Aaron Karras, he's played a number of games, in a reserve role, but this is his first start at right tackle. He's looked good, looks the part, right now, but how does it look on Saturday? So that's going to be a test. But they do have some options. Drew Moss, who will be at right guard. He's played a lot of right tackle. So if they're having issues out there, they could swap things around, move Moss back outside. So I think they're feeling pretty confident about that group. Again, yeah, Texas is going to be a little different beast than they see in the Mountain West. Everyone knows that. But overall, I think they're feeling pretty good. And yeah, they'll be sure to begin the ball out pretty quick tomorrow.
Hey, we got a question. We got a question from the chat, Bobby, real quick. We've got to ask you about weather. Going to be hot. What it's kind of the talk been with the Colorado staff, the state staff on the weather?
Yeah, at least publicly they haven't been too concerned. Norvell said, yeah, it's obviously going to be hot. He goes, we're going to sweat a little more, which we all know. He also said, we're coming from altitude. We think training, all season, off season long at altitude helps negate some of that. We have some of the lungs. Yeah, the humidity is something, but it's one of those. You can practice for crowd noise, pump in crowd noise, things like that. You can't really pump in humidity to the dry air of Colorado. So I think it's one of those, why bother talking too much about it, within the team when there's not much you can do. Obviously, there's been a lot of focus on hydration and all your typical things. But at least on the surface, they don't seem, to be, pun intended here, to be sweating it too much.
Is it a deep team for Colorado State, or are they one deep primarily?
It's the deepest they've had under Norvell. It depends on position group. Receiver, I think, a lot of depth. O-line, I think, medium, solid depth. Running back, a lot of depth. Tight end, they're a little thin because the guy that they thought would have a big part of the offense, he's out for the season with shoulder surgery, Jackson Warren. D-line, like we talked about, is probably a little thin because of the experience. Linebacker, they should be okay. Corner is another big question. They have, a number of bodies, but it's a lot of unproven guys. So it's, we'll see what that looks like. Safety, they're pretty good. Like you mentioned, they have pretty good safeties, and then they actually have some youngsters behind them that they're really excited about. So a couple key vulnerable positions there, I'd say, in the corner and D-line area where that depth could be a question mark.
All right, enough of this football talk. What barbecue are you eating today, man? What are the plans?
Well, no, you guys need to tell me where to go. I did go to Terry Black's yesterday. That was good stuff. But yeah, any suggestions? I'm happy to get them.
We have 3,000 people in there. The chat's going to give you some suggestions.
I know. I'm sitting here watching the comments. I mean, I've appreciated there have been some good questions in here too. But seeing people throw some suggestions in, I'm just going to jot all these down and. I have a list of like 50 different restaurants people when I'm going down here told me to go. So I'm like, well, I'm only here for like 3 days, but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, a trip to Austin is different than a trip to Boise when it comes to your options.
Definitely a different part of the travel this year, but I love it down here. I have some friends who live down here, so I've been able to come visit a handful of times. Always enjoy my Austin trips, that's for sure. This will be my first football game day though. I've been around campus, but not on a game day.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy yourself and have a good trip to Austin. Texas fans try to treat opponents well, except for about 3 hours every Saturday. That's
You know,
that's the general rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's the good thing too. It's a 32.5-point spread, in tailgates and stuff. Probably not feeling too threatened by CSU fans, so probably gonna be welcoming.
Hey, you mentioned well, before we get you out of here, you mentioned the spread 32.5. What are your prediction? What's your prediction for this game for Colorado State from the Rams perspective?
Yeah, I just published my predictions column, and now I'm trying to remember. I think I had 42-17. I think it'll be one. That's a big spread. That's a big spread, especially Colorado State. Like I say, can't move it a little bit. For Texas, my view. You guys would obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but they plan and hope to play a whole lot of games this year. Got a big one next week. No need to empty the tank this week. So I think the ideal for Texas would be to get out, build a lead, and kind of hit the cruise control button, and that leads to covers, in my opinion. So that's a pretty big spread. I think CSU covers, but Texas wins comfortably.
That's a good point, Kevin.
Good stuff, Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin Lidle, the Coloradan. Appreciate you coming on this Friday morning. Enjoy your time in Austin. As far as barbecue, I'll just give you my own. If you've already been to Terry Black's, I think I'd go try Franklin's.
All right.
Go stand in line, enjoy a little company. It may be humid, though, to stand in line this morning. If you're
That's all right.
Orleans.
It's all right. I brought the change of clothes.
Hey, Kevin.
New Orleans has a good one. Order Franklin's to go.
Oh,
then
there
you
we
just
go. That's
skip
a good
the
one.
line. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, we got a super chat question for you. Is there a sumo player?
Yes. Yes, so that's a super cool story. Unfortunately, Texas fans won't get to see it in action. So Hidetora Hanada, a guy came over from Japan last year. He's I don't know, I don't have it written down right in front of me, but yeah, he's some form of a sumo champion, national champion from Japan. He was at a CFL combine that, so he was kind of, performing there. A coach who knew one of CSU's coaches messaged him and was like, hey, this guy's not pro ready, but he still has college eligibility. You guys might want to give him a call. They connected. He moved across the world to Colorado State. He only had 2 years of eligibility, so this is his second. Unfortunately, he has a shoulder injury right now, so he won't be able to play. But it's been wild. Whenever CSU, Colorado State posts about him, the engagement from the Japanese community. I mean, he's gone viral so many times, over in Japan. It's such a cool story. Hopefully he can get on the field, but unfortunately he won't Saturday. But he played a little bit last year. You can tell he knows all the leverage and everything. He's just learning the sport and the culture and everything. But super cool story, super cool guy that hopefully we'll see on the field later this year. So yeah, that's a great question.
Kevin, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate
you guys. Appreciate it. It was fun talking.
All right. Have a good one, man. That's good stuff. Kevin Lidle, the Coloradoan. Good. Appreciate him joining us. We're going to try to do that each and every week. Bring in a beat writer from an opposing team. Anything stand out to you what he said there, Jerry or Blake, that you thought was maybe a little different or supported something you said that you were thinking ahead of time?
Yeah, he actually made a pretty interesting point there at the end with Texas having a big game next week.
Yeah.
I mean, do they somewhat shut it down a little bit if they get up early? I think that's an interesting point. But I think what he also said about defensive line, obviously the best player from last year had 13 sacks in the NFL. Now one of their best guys is out with a toe injury this week. That ain't good news when you're going up against Texas this week. It's not good news.
Okay, guys. I don't think he's ready yet because his video's not on. So we'll wait. Oh, there he is. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Bobby, while you do the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Robison. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. You down at your ranch in Belleville having fun today?
Yeah, we're at the ranch. Hopefully the Wi-Fi stays connected for us.
It looks good, man. It looks good. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to have you on as often as possible. Going to do the post-game show with you on Saturday, me and Rod Babers. Brian, I tell you what, the first game of the year, Longhorns going up there. We just heard from the Colorado State beat writer. And Jerry brought up a good point that the Colorado State beat writer was talking about. Texas is favored by 32.5, right? Do you think Texas gets out to a big lead and then just tries to coast because they don't want to show anything to Michigan? Or do you think that's just the antithesis of what football is all about, and they need to step on their throat and jump up and down on it once they get them there? What's your take on something like that? A thought that, hey, they may have to hold off a little bit.
Well, I think when you're talking about Sark, right? Sark is one of probably the best scripted callers coming into ball games that we've seen in college football. The first 15 plays, first quarter worth of plays is always going to be, quick, fast. It's going to be a lot of things thrown at you, a lot of motions, a lot of eye candy, things like that. So I think you're going to see that. If they can get a big lead earlier, I think they are going to back off. I think they're going to try to secure this win pretty early. And hopefully if they can do that, they will get pretty vanilla. Now, what you don't want to have is a game like Wyoming last year where things are tight late in the game and you have to pull away at the end. You got to show stuff. So I think ultimately what they want to do is they want to jump out to a big lead. They want to be able to run their offense efficiently, get what they need to get done, put a lot of points on the board in the first quarter, second quarter, and be able to kind of get some of those depth guys in there in the second half.
Hey, Brian, I wanted to ask you about the edge play. So Colorado State, they only gave up 14 sacks last year. They're an air raid team. They get it out of the hand quickly, right? What are you looking for from the edge players at Texas on Saturday? It may tell you something about that position this season.
Well, I think last year, we had some edge players that really took huge strides last year. I'm looking forward to seeing, Colton Vasek out there. Seeing what he can put on film, Colin Simmons, stuff like that. They've got a multitude of edge players that can play ball. But not only am I looking at pass rush, I'm looking to see how they play the run. Because at the end of the day, in the SEC, that is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to have the ability to stop the run. So that's what I'm going to be looking at is, hey, you've got some big offensive linemen with Colorado State. They're probably going to try to pound you a little bit. So let's see how you hold up against the run.
Brian, we talked this all off season. You were a pass rush. I don't want to call you a pass rush specialist, but you got paid a lot of money to rush the pass. You know what I mean? And so my question to you is, what is the difference between a guy that is a good pass rusher / also a good run stopper and those guys that just have that extra little twitch? Is that all it is when they can get after the quarterback? And Trey Moore, for example, the young man from UTSA, had 14.5 sacks. You mentioned Colton Vasek and Colin Simmons. Those guys expected to get after the passer a little bit more. What do those guys have that's just a little bit different if you have success getting after them?
Well, I think that the answer to that question is kind of twofold, right? You have the mental aspect of it, and then you have the physical. So I'll go with the physical first. The guys that tend to separate themselves from everybody else are the guys that have that little extra hand movement, something like that. A lot of guys, they just want to swipe and knock away, but the guys that were really good could always swipe, grab a wrist or something like that and clear themselves. So there's always that little nuances there. But then you talk about the mental part of the game, right? So people don't realize it becomes a chess match when you're pass rushing. An offensive lineman may change his set. He may change, his punch. He may throw one hand at you instead of two, things like that. So it becomes a chess match. And a lot of that comes from breaking down film throughout the week. And then some of it is making changes on the fly and understanding and paying attention, like not just rushing a guy, but understanding what he's giving you and when he's giving that to you to give you the edge the next time. That way, next third down, you're like, okay, last 2 3rd and longs, he's throwing his outside hand at me, but not his inside. Well, now that I've known that, I can take advantage of that.
The question I had also here, Colorado State has a quick passing game. They're known for it. Is that frustrating as hell for a defensive end?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the deal. You're trying to get off the ball each and every play to get to the quarterback. And if they're getting the ball out before you can even, barely get out of your stance or even get to the offensive tackle, it gets frustrating. The thing is, you have to understand is at some point they're going to have to hold the ball, because if you get 1 or 2 incompletions on that, next thing you know, you're in a 3rd and 10 situation. Well, now they have to hold the ball. So as a defensive lineman or an edge rusher, you have to understand, like, hey, I've just got to keep pressing, because eventually he's going to have to hold the ball. He's going to have to double pump the ball. And if I'm getting frustrated and I'm just coming out of my stance and I'm thinking, oh, the ball's going to come out and I'm stopping, Well, now you just ruined an opportunity that you could have had at rushing the passer. So it is frustrating, but at the same time, you just got to stay mentally in tune with it and just keep doing your job.
Hey, Brian, what are you looking for in Quinn's third year starting? What are you looking for that next step for him first? And then second, you had a pretty good seat for Arch Manning's spring game. I talked about that for a while after the spring game last year. And we think Arch will probably get in the game, if the Texas gets up. What are you kind of expecting to see Quinn in year 3, and maybe what you saw from Arch in the spring game you really liked?
Yeah, I think the thing with Quinn is, man, he's just got to keep building his progression the way he has the last 2 years. I mean, I think when you look at it, his reads were much faster last year than they were the year before. I think one thing that I really want to see a little bit better out of him this year is his accuracy on the deep ball. Give his, and what I mean by that is give your receivers an opportunity at those 50-50 balls. You've got a plethora of wide receivers now. You may not have the top end guys like Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy that you had last year, but you've got probably six guys that are legit threats on the football field. Give them an opportunity to go up and catch a ball. Give them a 50-50 ball. You know what? If it's incomplete, it's incomplete. You rally the troops. You get them back on second down. But that's what I want to see. Take a few more risks, but also, just keep going through your progressions a little bit. And then what was the second part of that question?
What did you see from Arch that you really liked in the spring game?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Arch was, man, I mean, for a guy that's pretty much fresh out of high school, hasn't seen a lot of time on the field, I thought he was very poised, very collected. His maneuverability around the pocket was another thing that I was pleasantly surprised by. But I think just him, man, he understands. He has that Manning background, right? So he understands how to progress through his reads and things like that, and he's able to do that. And I think the thing was, too, is he knew the mismatches when he came up to the line of scrimmage, and he took advantage of those in the spring game. And I think the one thing that's kind of missing from what everybody's talking about with Quinn and is competition breeds success. When you've got a guy like Arch Manning breathing down the back of your neck, it should make Quinn Ewers a better quarterback as well. So this is a great luxury for Texas football fans to have right now.
I completely agree. And I think so what Sark's done with the quarterback room is phenomenal, in my opinion. Brian, you look at it, you've gone through many first games in your career of many seasons, 20 plus, I guess, with high school, college, and pros combined. What are you looking for? What is it about the early season game that a team is really trying to get on track? I mean, what is it that they're trying to specifically do in week 1, and what the Horns want to accomplish with that?
Well, I think week 1, the best thing you can do is just play your style of ball. Don't press, don't try to do anything crazy. It's you get nervous, you get excited, the anxiety's there. You're playing in front of a crowd of 100,000. And you want to do special things, right? But don't go out and purposely try to do special things. Let the special things happen. And what happens is you've built a foundation during camp, right? So continue to keep building on that foundation. Do your job. Do the fundamentals correctly, and plays will start to happen. But it's the guys that start getting out and they want to press because they want to impress people. They want to wow the crowd and everything else like that. And next thing you know, you miss a tackle or you go inside and you should be outside, and now that's 80 and out the gate. So those are the things you got to look for as a player, is just making sure that I'm doing my job and I'm building on that, because if I'm doing that, the plays will eventually come to me.
It sounds like you're talking about really they just need to start establishing an identity.
And just be who they
are, right? It's like, this is who you are, go be who you are, and go kick butt being who you are. Right. And focus on that sort of thing. Yeah, that's good stuff. All right. Go for it, Blake. You got a question from the audience?
Yes. So, Brian, Stephen Houston asked, what do you think your best game was at Texas? The game where you felt you just balled out?
That was actually a pretty easy answer for me. Texas Tech. We played Texas Tech at home. I think I had 3 sacks. I had another 2 or 3 tackles for loss. Man, I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I was kind of a maniac on the field that day. I mean, I was just flying everywhere. I mean, I think I made, which in nowadays times would be an illegal tackle. I probably had two that I just laid out like Superman and grabbed the guy by the back of the jersey. I mean, it was crazy. I was flying everywhere, but it's definitely a memorable game for me.
Hey, Brian, I want to follow up because I've always first time we've had a chance to talk to you, and thank you so much for being part of OTF community. But I want to ask you this: when you were being recruited, you were kind of the off the radar guy compared to a lot of the guys. What if there had been Nike camps back then, and you had showed up at a Nike camp from Splendor, and people didn't really know who Brian Robison was? What do you think you would have put up? Would you run in the 4.6? Would you have vertical 40 back then? Because that's the crazy thing about recruiting now. Your recruitment, if you'd shown up at a Nike camp after your junior year in high school, would have been a million times different than it actually was for you. I mean, is that kind of have you followed recruiting and how it's changed to kind of get what I'm talking about in that regard?
I have tried to follow recruiting, and it's changed so much that I can't follow it. So it's amazing, one, how crazy it has gotten as far as how many people want to, follow this and how they want to promote it and things like that. The other thing is like what you're talking about, the tools that these athletes have nowadays. I just learned about Huddle last year. I mean, Huddle is a big deal. Like they can get the film out there and things like that. And I'm like, gosh, where was this when I was playing? Of course, back when I was playing, I mean, for me, I would have been like, man, this is too much to worry about. I just need to go play football. But yeah, I mean, dude, a Nike camp, I mean, I would have loved to have done that. And I actually did a Nike camp, but I think I was like a sophomore or something like that. We did it at Texas A&M or something. But man, if I was able to do a Nike camp in, let's just say, end of my junior year or something like that, I mean, dude, there's no reason in my mind why I couldn't have probably weighed in at 240. I probably would have ran 4.5. I probably would have been right around that 40, if not a little above vertical. I mean, people don't realize like this stuff didn't come to me. Like I had to work for it, but I don't lie about my numbers. Like if I'm going to do something, like I know I could have done it. So I told people before we ever got to the NFL combine, they were like, what do you think you'll jump in the 40 or in the vertical? I said, I'll jump 40 or more. And people laughed at me. And I was like, okay, you'll see. So well, everybody thought I was going to
watch you jump on PATs and field goals for 4 years at Texas, did they?
Yeah, you think people would notice that?
I definitely did. You look like you were dunking a basketball when somebody was attempting an extra point.
All right. Hey, Brian, thank you so much, bud. We'll be checking in with you every so often this year, as well as seeing you on Saturday afternoon, hopefully after a big Longhorn victory. Brian, thanks for all you do and all you did for the Longhorns and how you represent Texas through everything you do, bud. We look forward to seeing you and hope you had a good time here today. And thanks for sharing your time with a lot of Longhorn fans.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. And let's go get them tomorrow. Hook them.
Yeah, hook them, Brian. Take care, buddy. Good stuff. Brian Robison, national champion, good guy, all-around good guy, native Texan. During his recruitment, Jerry, he was all Texas.
Yeah.
There was no anybody else. He was a slam dunk recruitment. And you know what? Talking about to use that metaphor of dunking a ball, he was a tremendous player for the Longhorns. I remember that game against Tech he was describing. That he had a way of playing the game that was fierce. We talk about, like, I know this is going to be a total kind of strange analogy, but Sark describes Silas Bolden playing fierce.
Yep. Okay.
Not just fearless, but fierce. And that's how Brian Robison attacked. That's how a lot of the great players, in my opinion, attack football, the game of football. Kenny Vaccaro, Quandre Diggs, fierce, not just fearless, not just willing to get hit, but fierce. Just the unbelievable competitive nature, along with unbelievable athleticism.
Hey, I wanted to put this up real quick, guys. Then we got more supers to get to, a little more conversation. And of course, we need to revisit the big news story of the day. And I'm going to actually do that right now. But KJ Lacey tweeted this out. Jaime Ffrench saying, welcome home, family. And hook 'em.
There we go. Good stuff.
So I wanted to share that with everybody.
There you go. KJ Lacey, big game last week we talked about with KJ Lacey is he has a more inexperienced offensive line at Saraland this year versus, yes, Ryan Williams is gone, but that offensive line, I believe, lost 4 starters from last year. He is going to play under more duress this season. And we were talking about this before his first game. I think he's going to show playmaking ability. KJ Lacey's a senior, more so than maybe he got a chance to show the last 2 years at Saraland. And then if that first game is in the indication, I know people are like, oh, he's throwing across his body. Yeah, but he was playing under duress. He knew where his guys were going to be open. And yes, you're not going to do that at the Power 4 level necessarily, but he's showing playmaking ability. I think KJ Lacey's going to have a big year making plays with his feet, leading the plays with his arm, because he is going to play under duress a little bit more this year at Saraland. Even though they have a great coach, just young on the offensive line, KJ is going to have a really good year.
Hey, Blake, we got to do a couple of advertising reads. While we're doing those, could you get Jaime Ffrench's bio page ready? Because I want to talk about his bio page, his rankings, as well as his height, weight, some of his accomplishments, number of catches, that sort of thing, to kind of put a bow on all about him today. But first of all, I want to say thank you to our sponsor today. Home Field Apparel is focused on creating officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. They have a wide range of available colleges, 180 plus and growing. They have a can't miss kickoff campaign with football boxes, coaches' jackets, bomber jackets. The highlight of the campaign, Home Field's football boxes. It contains 3 never before seen items unavailable anywhere else. Again, they focus on vintage college designs. Platinum Box VIPs will receive additional exclusive items, a new hat, a ringer for Platinum VIPs only, the 2024 Platinum Pass guaranteeing 20% off and early access. No more missing out on Home Field because it's sold out to your school's football releases throughout the season. Visit homefieldapparel.com. Use code Texas24 for 15% off. That's Texas24 for 15% off. The convenience of online shopping has never been better. Check out their vintage designs at Home Field Apparel and use code Texas24 for 15% off.
Thank you, Bobby. And then now, Jerry, everybody's favorite time of the day, besides when Jaime Ffrench commits, of course, Manscaped. Let's hear it.
I mean, people were calling for this in the Mac Brown voice earlier. I'm gonna give y'all one sentence in the Mac Brown voice, then go back to regular. Okay, fellas, do you want your grooming routine to be a one and done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private boats are over, thanks to our friends at Manscaped. I'll take over now. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6, introducing the Beard and Balls bundle featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, a trimmer for the moneymaker and another for the boys downstairs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS, all caps, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS at manscaped.com. For the premium grooming experience, just Manscaped. Again, manscaped.com, on Texas, 20% off.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, Jerry Hamilton. Definitely appreciate that. And people are dying in the chat. They absolutely
ask for it. You got to give the people what they want sometimes.
They love it. Well, hey, we got some more super chats. Bobby, I know you want to talk about Jaime Ffrench a little more in depth as well, but I want to do a couple more here. A couple more of these super chats. Bevo92 says July 4th weekend seems like a lifetime ago. Constant reminder that Sark is playing the long game to get his guys and build sustaining high performance culture. My prediction tomorrow, 56-17.
You know what? It has been a long time ago from a recruiting perspective. I just go back and the whole DeCorian Moore, Josiah Sharma, Myron Charles, that little run there, they flipped Josiah Sharma. I think that was huge for Texas and got them going back on the right track. And then all of a sudden you get Nick Brooks, you get Khalid Lockett, you get Jonah Williams, and now you get Jaime Ffrench. That's a pretty salty 5-person run. Jerry. That's what that is. And so you're right. I mean, I think that July 4th, that weekend was kind of and now we're ending it with a bang. And let's start the football season with a bang tomorrow too. That's
no doubt. Yeah, exactly. But look, Sark said at the Texas High School Coaches Association, his little media breakout session he had there, he said, "I'm not worried about recruiting. We'll see where it all ends up in December." And I know it's tough, but that's just the way this staff is. I mean, this staff is going to, I know y'all hate the term recruit through the whistle sometimes, but that's the way this staff is. And I started coining that because if you're going to ask your players to play through the whistle, obviously you got to recruit through the whistle and recruiting. But look, they're going to stay on top targets. Somebody asked about flips on the defensive line. Maybe more so than flips on the defensive line. Yes, Texas is still going after Myron Charles. Here's what excites me about what's going on for Texas recruiting right now. They just offered 3 defensive linemen in Georgia committed elsewhere. All 3 are really good players. I love that Texas is expanding their net on the defensive line. There are some really good players out there that are going to rise as seniors. And just because they're committed to a Rutgers or an Arkansas, Caleb Bell's really good. In that Florida in Mbaktu. And Mbaktu's now been offered since Texas offered him by Auburn, Alabama, and Georgia. This is his first year playing padded football. There's so many D linemen in Georgia. I love that Kenny Baker and Sark and the staff are offering defensive linemen in Georgia because there's just so many in this class. I don't think Texas is done offering defensive linemen. I think there's a guy they've offered out there right now. They offered him way back that I think it could end up being in play. I think I'm going to have more on that next week, but I think they're doing the right things on the defensive front. Now, that doesn't mean you don't stay on the guys that you really liked early on, but keep expanding that net on the defensive line because there's a lot of really good players in the Southeast region. And Kenny Baker, because he got to Texas late coming from the NFL, he didn't get a chance to go out and see all these guys. And these guys' recruitments were well down the road by the time he got to Texas. And so now they're going back and watching some of these guys early senior year and making offers. I really like the way Texas recruits. I think the same thing will happen at defensive back. I think they'll go back in stay in contact with some guys committed elsewhere that we've talked about. Maybe even a guy that's not really on the radar right now. But I just like where Texas is at in their recruiting approach. And I think that's how you continuously – the senior year evaluations, I think, are really missed nowadays in the business and on the college side sometimes because the portal, it's so easy to say, let's just go to the portal. But there's a lot of really good players that make big jumps as seniors because maybe they weren't ranked as high and they got that little extra chip on their shoulder, or maybe they developed late, or Joseph Mbaktu's playing football for the first time, but his upside is just oozes. I mean, he's just got so much upside. I really like what Texas is doing in recruiting right now, and I think defensive line expanding their reach is really smart in this class.
All right, guys. Well, the big news, if you're just joining us and you somehow missed it, Jaime Ffrench does commit to Texas, and I want to go over this a little bit. How big of a deal is this for the Longhorns, y'all?
Huge deal. A guy that's ranked, obviously, you see there, top 25 in the industry, consensus top 25 prospect. Look, Texas hasn't got. When's the last player from Jacksonville, Texas signed? First of all,
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida, not Texas. Yes. No Jamie Hightower to A&M over Texas references here. Okay, from Jacksonville, Florida. Great point, Bobby. That expands Texas reach in Florida, different area. Jaime Ffrench is an extremely popular player in the Jacksonville area. Great personality. There you see his brother played for Pittsburgh, I think with the high school in New Jersey. Played briefly in the NFL as a star in the CFL. But look, Jaime Ffrench he carries some weight nationally too. He got that magnetic personality, very popular guy. That is a national recruiting win for Texas in an area they haven't won a national recruitment in my years doing this. I mean, they beat out Miami, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. They beat out everybody for a kid out of Jacksonville, Florida. That is, again, hey, Texas in the SEC. This is different times for Texas football recruiting. Jaime Ffrench was a one-time Alabama commitment that backed off of that when Nick Saban retired. This is a huge recruiting win for Texas before you even get to the talent on the field, which he does have a lot of similarities to A.D. Mitchell for me at the same age.
With that 116 yards last week, Jerry, or in his first game, he now has over 2,000 yards receiving as a high school prospect.
Yeah.
He averaged more than 20 yards a catch last year. You mentioned he has a brother that played at Pitt. A lot of different comments here. Go back to the page, if you would, Blake. I want to give you some height and weight in particulars, kind of, like I said, put a bow on this. 6'1", 185. Number 25 ranked player by 24/7 Sports in particular, but his composite ranking, which is a mix and mash of all the major recruiting services, ranks him number 19. That puts him as a 5-star prospect nationally, one of 3 currently for the Longhorns, with Jonah Williams as well as Khalik Lockett. Longhorns still after Michael Terry, who's in that category as well. Could be going after some other guys that are ranked that way as well, that are committed elsewhere currently. But the idea here is it brings Texas to 19 commitments at the end of August. That's more than Texas had at this time a year ago. So for those people that were concerned about Texas starting slowly in recruiting, they actually aren't very slow. The question now is, who do they go after and get? Because the majority of their prospects left on the board for Texas are actually committed elsewhere right now. So they're going to have to flip more people than they have in the past. This isn't going to be a season where there's still a Ryan Wingo still out there during the season that you can get a commitment from. So we'll be following that closely. Texas now moves up, I think, to 6 or 7 in the national team recruiting rankings. We've been asked all summer, is Texas going to be a top 5 class? Well, they're on the cusp of it right now. And we'll see what the next 3 months have to hold, not only on the football field, but on the recruiting battleground as well.
I want to answer a question here. Odin Horns has one. It's actually interesting because we're gonna see all these guys. Ryan Williams at Bama better than Isaiah Bond. I like Isaiah Bond, real speed. Look, seeing Ryan Williams multiple times in person, Ryan Williams is a pretty special prospect. There's no doubt about it. You guys know that have been on this channel for a long time. Last year, we were talking receivers. I said, look, DeCorey Moore is better than any guy in Texas. Regardless of class, doesn't matter to me. I'm out there. DeCorey Moore's special. I think Ryan Williams is in that same class. Ryan Williams is a pretty special player now. Not surprising. He was very skinny, I would say, but wiry strong coming out of Saraland. Obviously graduated a year early, worked to make that happen, but added some strength to his frame quickly at Alabama, which was expected. He's had the big fall camp, but will do very well in that scheme. Jalen DeBoer. But Ryan Williams is, look, Ryan, we're saying the same thing about Ryan Wingo. Ryan Williams, Ryan Wingo should be first-round picks one day if they stay healthy and do this right. No doubt in my mind.
Guys, we've been going for nearly 2 hours strong this morning. Hard to believe. We got a few super chats that we need to knock out before we get out of here. And I want to start with this big one here from Edmund Lee. Edmund, we definitely appreciate your support. And he says, good morning, super on Texas football team. And what a birthday surprise for Bobby. Cheers to one of the best coverage teams on the planet. Welcome, French, to the Longhorn family. More jerky funding for Jerry Hamilton. Texas by 35 beats the over-under. First touchdown viewers to Jonte Hookem.
What are we calling? What are we calling on the first touchdown of this year? Thank you, Edmund, by the way, on the birthday wishes, et cetera, and the super chat. What are we thinking? This is a good topic from Edmund.
I mean, I'm on a limb on this. I think I went Texas defers, Silas Bolden punt return.
Man, out of the gate, baby. Out of the gate. Yeah. I will say this. Punt return. Look, the thing about punt return in Austin that's different in Fort Collins, that ball carries a little bit. So your punt return units, if you're in Colorado and Fort Collins, they may think they have more hang time than they actually have in high humidity. I'll just put it that way. Good. That's an interesting call. I'll go with Jaden Blue. Some sort of swing pass, wheel route.
Yeah.
I'm going with that. Something exotic. Blake, what are you doing? You chimed in as much today.
I want to be different, obviously. I'm going to say Remember when Xavier Worthy in the OU game took it to the house on the first play? I'm going to say we're going to see something like that. But for UT boy, I'm going to make UT boy happier to Jonte Cook.
Wow, fishing for the Monday super chat. I like it.
So we'll see what happens. I like all three scenarios, though, no doubt about it.
Golden, Cook, and Blue. And there's about a 50-50 chance we're all wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, somebody in the chat asked about Friday night football games tonight. If you're in the Houston area, North Houston, Port Arthur Memorial plays at Dekaney. Obviously, Nick Townsend committed to Texas at Dekaney. Chinook Hines, USC, really good player. Port Arthur Memorial has the junior linebacker Tank King, who started since he was a freshman, that Texas has offered. A&M's offered a lot of people. They have a corner, Brock King, that Texas offered this summer. It's in the 26 class. Number of players, 2025. DN Michael Riles committed to Oklahoma State. They have a couple of running backs. Memorial's got some talented players. Also, Dekaney has Joseph Credit, 2026. Edge linebacker Texas has offered. Really talented football game up in the Spring area north of Houston tonight. North Shore, Oak Cliff, Naaman Robert says that. Blake caught his first high school football game last night. Your son played against Poth. Thoughts, Blake?
Yeah. So honestly, did a little better than I expected. I think final score was 35-14. Poth started a little rusty. Comanche came out and drove right down the field on the first drive, scored and went up, and then Poth kind of clawed their way back after that. But it was a good game. Obviously your biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2, generally, especially at the high school level. So I'm interested to see what both teams look like next week. And there was a couple of things that you really could look at Comanche and say, man, there's a lot of youth on this team, a lot of mistakes that really shouldn't have been made, a lot of teachable moments for the Comanche coaching staff this week. I bet that film study is going to be interesting tomorrow morning at the high school, to say the least.
Hey, I want to get this question as a follow-up. Where was that? Hua Hin Golfer. There you go. For those overseas, where do we look to find high school games? Sorry, go to Max Preps, click on states, go to Texas, and then you can get the scores by date across the state of Texas. And then you can also, I think Max Preps is really good for schedule. You can just search a Dia Bell Max Preps, a Google search of that, and it'll pop up his stats. You can go to his team schedule, things like that, if you want to search out a Texas commitment as well.
And for those wanting to watch high school games, you can go over to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. They do a thing called Texan Live every Friday night. It's absolutely outstanding. I even use it when I'm calling Comanche games in the booth on Friday night to watch other schools around the state. They have a really good video broadcast of probably about 30 to 40 games in the state every weekend. So if you're wanting to watch them live, that's generally your best bet for the state of Texas. Okay, guys, a few more super chats, and then we got to get out of here. I have an omelet calling my name that my wife brought me, and it's just, I'm sitting here staring at it. My stomach's growling. This next one here is from, where did it go? Justin Yarbrough. And Justin says, happy birthday, Bobby. It was great to meet y'all last night. Hook on.
Great to meet you, Justin. Now I know where our Texas City friends would. We can put face with the name, Texas City friends. Hey, by the way, I know where Justin Yarbrough will be Friday unless he's in Ann Arbor. Galveston Ball in Texas City this Friday, September 6th. Is that the Battle by the Bay, or is that Ball in Lamarck? I can't remember what the rivalry's called, but Justin, I know, will be watching Jonah Williams do his thing against his Texas City Stings coming up on September 6th.
It was nice to meet his better half, Ashley, as well. Well, that was the highlight. That was good stuff. Thanks, Justin. It was nice to meet you, buddy. Really was.
And then a super chat here from JJ. And JJ, thanks once again. I know you've put in a couple today. He says, Jerry, when a kid's going to enroll early, does it indicate he's likely to be a silent commit based on logistical planning? For example, where a recruit lives, etc.
No, not really. Not really. Not for me. I mean, especially nowadays with NIL, things have just changed so much. But No, I don't think that factors in it at all. I think just the early enrollee part, kids have it's really blown up in the last 5-6 years. That kids have realized, and also more school districts have made that possible. There's still some private schools, a couple of states that it's tough to get out early, but I think guys have just really realized how much it impacts them and their ability to get on the field as a freshman and be prepared to play. And we always think about it from a speed of the game and the on the field part, but I think of it as let's say you're early enrollee at Texas, you get a Torrey Becton spring workout and a Torrey Becton June workout. So you get two different workouts at times with Torrey Becton. So yes, it helps the being on the field and getting those 15 practices in the spring, but physically, Bobby, it really gets you ready.
I want to say this. The one thing it does do, I don't think it has anything to do with being a silent commit, but being an early enrollee absolutely expedites the process overall.
Yeah.
Like you see more guys making earlier decisions if they're going to be a mid-year guy.
Yeah.
So, but not necessarily to Texas or anywhere else from a silent commit standpoint, in my opinion.
All right. Our next super chat, by the way, Archmania, it was a neutral site game, Alamo Dome. A little bit easier for me just to tell you than type that out. Monty Love and G. Dawson, thank you for the super chat, says, let's go, all the players. Peace, love, and protection, and a successful year from San Antonio. Hook 'em. Hey, that's where I'm currently at.
I agree. Let's go around. I mean, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Comanche, anywhere, Austin, obviously, Georgetown, Waco, West Texas, Australia. We've had them all today. Poland. Jack's always in Poland. Love it.
And I believe this is our last one for today, fellas, unless I find one that I accidentally missed, and I'll look over it while y'all are talking. From Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. He says, Hogs quarterback. Wow. Brooks beat out at Illinois. Officials all in on the prime hype.
Yeah. Look, Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green is a Boise State transfer, played at Louisville High, kid from Texas, trained with Kevin Murray for years. Kevin Murray knows what he's doing, training quarterbacks. Taylon Green, a really good player for Arkansas. I think they upgraded their passing game, Bobby, quite a bit. And that's not a knock on KJ Jefferson. KJ transferred to a perfect scheme for him at UCF, but I think Taylon Green's a higher level passer. Now, Arkansas Pine Bluffs is one of the worst teams out there. That doesn't really show much for Arkansas this season, but Taylon Green, Jaquindon Jackson, a lot of state of Texas flavor in that backfield.
Terrence Brooks got beat out, huh? At Illinois?
I'll be honest, I have not looked up Illinois' depth chart or watched them this year.
Well, they played last night, right? Maybe that tells you why Texas wasn't, didn't, sometimes got to get it going yourself. It's on you. You have the talent. You got to put it on the field.
We got a super chat, Blake.
Yeah, one that just came in from Tex Beats, and this will probably be our last one. Any chance that OU sucks tonight?
They suck every night. They make it win the game. That's my opinion.
Look, if they suck against Temple, that's not good for their season.
No, that
feels pretty tough.
Yeah, OU should have no problem dispensing with Temple. I don't think that's going to be any big issue. But we'll see what I'm going to say, the heartbeat of their offense or the rhythm their offense gets in, because if that's going to be a key to their season, whether or not Dylan Gabriel really got their offense going and made it a consistent one, I thought, over time. And so that's one thing I'm looking for. Are they going to have that kind of offense that if it gets going, it can really roll? I don't know that Jackson Arnold's that type of quarterback. We'll see.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. We want to thank them, along with Underdog, Homefield, and Manscaped, all for sponsoring today's show. One day away, fellas. Kind of crazy. Bobby, I got to bring this up before we get out of here, though. it's your birthday. A young Bobby Burton, everybody. The courtesy of Jenny. My kids are even coming over here to see this on the screen.
I love it. Hey, Bobby.
My wife or my mom showed me that picture the other day. My wife obviously sent this to y'all.
Look, I got one thing to say. Bobby
I always thought that was my dad, by the way, when I saw that picture.
Bobby, I'm going to critique your football. That's terrible ball security. Do you not understand points of pressure at 3 years old? That is a fumble. We're carrying it like a bread loaf. That's not going to work.
I love it. Hey, we got a big day tomorrow, guys. We got a big day today. I want to mention this before we get going. Please, and hello to Blake's crew there. We've got big stuff going on today. We are at the co-op at 3 o'clock. Myself and Rod Babers, Jerry Hamilton's going to join us via teleconference. But we're going to be there from 3 to 4 today. Please stop by, say hello. Our friends at 40 Acres Apparel and the 40 Acres Collection, as well as the co-op, allowing us to do that again this year. We're very, very excited about that. And then come over afterwards. We're going to hang out at the Victory Lap, which is about 100 yards, 200 yards away from the co-op. We're just going to hang out. No live show from there, but feel free to come out and hang out. Also, I'll do this real quick and tell you guys what we have planned for Saturday, because I think it's very, very important that everybody know what we're going to be doing. We've got a number of different shows set up for Saturday, starting with our game day Saturday conversation. Myself, Rod Baber, CJ Vogel. We're not going to just be breaking down the Texas game. We're going to start with that, but we're also going to preview all of the other games that are major games. So we'll be talking about A&M and Notre Dame and Clemson, Georgia, just to give you a feel for what we think those games are going to look like. Hopefully, if you're driving in from either Dallas, Fort Worth, or anywhere else on your way to Austin tomorrow, it'll give you something to listen to on a podcast or listen through YouTube. Then we have the Texas Tailgate. Jerry and I will be in the Flat Creek Estate Winery wine garden that is going to be located adjacent to the north end of the stadium, across from the Bass Concert Hall. So please come by there. And then we have a Watch With Us, Aaron Hogan hosting it. And then we followed up with a post-game live immediately following the game. That's what we got for you in store on Texas football. Hopefully we do the pageantry of Texas football justice with what we're going to bring you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, guys. Well, be sure to stay tuned for all that. There's no better time than now to become a member over at ontexasfootball.com. Head on over there. Remember, you can use promo code OTFOG. You'll get the full year for $39.95. So take advantage of that. There's always great stuff going on. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell so you're notified anytime that we go live, post a video, whatever it may be. That way you don't miss a single thing, because with football season now here, you don't want to miss anything. And we will be back Monday, but plenty of content between now and then. Everyone have a great holiday weekend, a safe holiday weekend. And for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.